Good morning, and thank you for joining us for Broncos Post-Game Live. I am Phil Milani alongside Todd Davis and Nick Ferguson. The Broncos snapped their four-game losing streak, beating the Jags 21-17. Guys, it's not about how the team started, because it wasn't pretty to start, but it's about how you finish, right, Todd?
Yes, absolutely. A win's a win. Nick and I both know how hard it is to come along and get wins in the NFL. So anytime you can pull one off, it's a great deal for the Broncos. So good to snap their four-game losing streak. And I really like what I saw in the second half. We talked last week about how we didn't see adjustments. There were no adjustments on the offensive coordinator's parts coming into the second half of the game. And I feel like we saw that starting off with the third quarter, 9 plays, 98 yards with a touchdown. Great job by them making adjustments this game.
Yeah, man, it's not how you start. It's definitely how you finish. And I know we talked about it at the outset of the game. It didn't look pretty good for the Broncos. And then they were able to turn things around. And that's something that we haven't seen in a while. And the idea is that bad teams know how to lose games. And maybe for the first time this season, the Broncos are learning as a team how to win football games.
Yeah, it was like almost like a reverse game, guys. Like the Broncos normally come out starting hot, and then they trail off. This time they flipped the script a little bit, and it seemed like the way they were celebrating there at the end that it felt like maybe a dark cloud has lifted on the team.
Yeah, I know you guys both feel like this is the game that can change the season. I'm definitely happy that the Broncos got a win. I don't know if this is the one that can really turn things around, but it is always good to win football games, and I think that they beat a team that was struggling as well. So, one of them had to, turn their season around. Hopefully the Broncos just did that.
Okay, I reloaded. So I have to go after Todd with this. And I know that's going to be the narrative tomorrow morning with all the local radio stations. Well, they beat a bad team. Well, this Jacksonville team, they can get after the quarterback. And Travis Etienne, 159 yards, I believe, on the ground. So this was a team that can actually, put stress on the Broncos. And they did that earlier in the game. But here's the way I look at it. The team needed to win. The Jags needed to win. They gave the Broncos their best shot, but the Broncos made the plays when they needed to make the plays to win the game. And sometimes that's what it comes down to. So I don't really look at this as though, hey, you beat another 2-5 team. You went on the road in London, home game for Jacksonville, and you went out there and you made plays. So we got to give them credit. If we're going to criticize them, we got to give them credit.
I definitely believe they deserve some credit, and I'm not taking anything away from the win. But like you said, the Jags have been struggling. They rushed for 191 yards on the ground. I think those 2 costly interceptions are what, changed the game for the Denver Broncos. And that's that's on part of the Denver Broncos stepping up, making plays when they need to make them. But it's not the Chiefs, it's not the Bills. We're talking about the Jags who are 5.
Come on, Todd.
I think the Broncos are trending in the right direction. I just want to see more greatness from them. I think they have greatness inside them. I just want to see us continue to make great plays.
Both teams had 4-game losing streaks coming into this one, so I get where both of you guys are coming from. But it could be a moment, though, I think, for this Broncos team. They spent the whole week in London together. Maybe something happened there. They were playing complementary football. The offense was going. The defense was going. We got a lot to unpack here as the Broncos get the victory 21-17, improved to 3-5 on the season. We'll go inside the winning locker room out in Wembley Stadium. We'll hear from Russell Wilson a little bit later on. But first, let's show you the highlights, how this thing played out at Wembley Stadium. A lot of fans there, a lot of excitement as the Broncos playing just their second ever regular season international game. They were trailing, though, 7-0 in the early on in the game. Jacksonville driving again, but Justin Simmons saves the day, his first interception of the season. And guys, I really think that did save the game. The Broncos get on the board late in the second quarter. Jeudy on the end around there. Nice blocking from KJ Hamler. Jeudy's 3rd touchdown this season. In the third quarter, the Broncos rolling that 98-yard drive, 9 plays. It's Greg Dulcich, a 38-yard catch there, set up Melvin Gordon. But after a Jags touchdown in the fourth quarter, the Broncos need something, and they dial one up to Hamler. It sets up this Latavius Murray 2-yard touchdown. It's his 2nd touchdown as a Bronco. Maybe a false start there, but that doesn't matter. It's a touchdown. And then the defense stepping up, needing a stop here. It's K'Waun Williams, his first interception as a Bronco with a cast on, and that seals the deal. The Broncos go on to win 21-17 the final. They improved to 3-5 on the year. Looking at some of the stats here, a very close game. The Broncos passing for 230 yards, had 101 yards on the ground, and the one turnover from Russell Wilson early on in the game. Guys, the way they came out in the second half, they look like a completely different team.
Absolutely, and that's what we want to see. That's the potential that we know this Broncos team has. So once again, hats off for them making adjustments coming into the second half. But if the Broncos can do this, every game, first half and second half, they're going to be a very hard team to beat. And that's what everybody wants to see. Everybody loves the potential they have. I love to see Russ using his legs. I know his hammy was, a bit of a concern coming in, but he used his legs and got critical first down when the teams needed it. I like what I saw the second half. I do.
Well, the biggest part in the second half of the game was they made plays. That was the biggest thing. And if you go back to some of the other games early in the season, guys were dropping balls, false start. You still had the penalty issues, but Russ, like you said, Todd, made plays with his feet. That's something that we were not seeing all the time. But when it comes down to it, where the rubber meets the road, it's about making plays. And that pass to KJ Hamler, and then before that, the Dulcich play. And think about this, that Dulcich play, same play that the Broncos ran on Monday Night Football against the Chargers. They attacked the defense, and that's what you have to do. That's what I'm used to seeing from this style of offense. And if the Broncos continue this, who knows what the season's going to be at the end.
What a boost from Greg Dulcich. I mean, the rookie tight end really giving a spark to this Broncos offense. Let's go out to Wembley Stadium, field level here, and check in with our all-stars out there. They spent the whole week out in London. It's Alexis Perry, Eric Dalala, and the Hall of Famer, Steve Atwater.
3, 2, 1. Thanks so much, Phil. Guys, today over 86,000 fans here in London packed this stadium here at Wembley. It was an absolutely electric crowd. While this was a Jags home game, I think it is safe to say that London, England is Broncos country.
Yeah, London is absolutely Broncos country. The fans here showed up big time. They showed their support for the team. They showed the love for the team all throughout the week.
Yes.
I think it was a great experience for Broncos country and the team, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could hear the incomplete chants ringing out. You could hear, "Let's go Broncos." They took over this stadium. You could hear them late. And it had an impact on the game, too. It was awesome to see.
Okay, let's start with that final scoring drive here for the Denver Broncos. What worked so well on that drive?
Well, they took a shot to KJ Hamler, which always helps. I think this offense found its rhythm a little bit there in the second quarter and moving in late in the game, but they trusted themselves. They made big plays. All week, George Payton and Nathaniel Hackett said, these guys just have to make plays that winners make. We have to find out a win. Well, KJ Hamler makes that catch. Russell Wilson scrambles for a first down. How about that heart there from him? Today they made the plays that winners make.
Latavius Murray on that final scoring drive.
Absolutely, and I think I'm glad that Coach Hackett kept running the ball once they got down there in the red zone. After KJ Hamler made that amazing play down there, they ran the ball, was able to push it into the end zone. Offensive line, we got to give our hats off to them as well.
Also the defense with a couple of huge interceptions today. First one from Justin Simmons, then that one from K'Waun Williams. What was the reaction here from this crowd?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, that Justin Simmons play, it was early in the game, but it almost felt like a game-changing play. The Jags were up 7-0. You felt like the way the offense was going, they didn't have a first down at that point, that if the Jags go up 14-0, maybe you start to, there's some questions as a team. Can we come back and win this game? Justin makes a leaping athletic grab. Looks like Steve Atwater over there, and saves, in some ways saves the game for the Broncos.
Yeah, definitely a beautiful play by Justin Simmons. And then I think he kind of felt like he had to make a big play. He had the penalty. I know he felt bad about that. Came back with a huge play. And then K'Waun Williams in the slot there, coming up with a big interception there to kind of seal the game. That was a beautiful play.
Okay, let's go back to what I'm calling the Dulcich drive there, and midway through the third. 78 of the Broncos' 98 yards were by Greg Dulcich on that drive. What is impressing you the most about him so far?
His speed down the middle of the field. I mean, he's too fast for a linebacker. He's too big for a cornerback. And he's only played 3 games, but he already looks kind of like a vet out there. And if he keeps playing like this, he's going to have the most yards in a season by a Broncos tight end since maybe 2013, 2014. So he's got to keep it going, but a really impressive start to his career.
Yeah, he got off to a little bit of a slow start with the injuries that he had early on in the season, but I tell you what, he's come on strong. He's got great hands. He looks like he's got a great grasp of this offense, and Russell Wilson knows that he's a weapon.
Yes, the Broncos, they get the dub. Obviously, it wasn't perfect. They're going into the bye week, but what are some things that you hope that they can really focus on and adjust heading into this next home game?
Yeah, I mean, the penalties, too many penalties again. You've got to find a way to start better on offense, avoid the turnovers, but it seemed like Russell Wilson was just kind of knocking some of the rust off to me, and once he did that, he looked a lot better. Listen, it's not pretty, like you said, but the Broncos, they saved their season. They're still alive. If you fall to 2-6, this is likely all over. 3-5, the way this is shaping up, you're still right there. You still got to win games, but you're still right there.
Yeah, I would say discipline, number one. Still way too many penalties. I would 10, 11, 12 penalties. Still far too many penalties. I think we didn't have nearly as many in the fourth quarter as we did the first three. That's the biggest thing. And I would say continue to work on that run. Continue to keep that run game going because that opens everything else up.
Okay, this experience here in London, this does not happen every year, even every decade, really, for a team. When you look back on this trip and this experience, what will really stand out most to you?
Just how cool it was for the players. I mean, cool for us, too, of course, but some of these guys have never been outside the country before, never been to the UK. They've all enjoyed it, and you can tell how much they bonded as a team this week. Who knows what that means for the rest of the season, but they're not going to forget this for as long as they're alive, you know?
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is the Broncos country. Broncos fans, they showed up. They had a wonderful time. And all of the Londoners, and people from all over the world, really, they've been so kind to us throughout the whole week. We got to make it a point to make sure we get back here and visit London. It's just a wonderful trip.
Yes, it really was. Well, for Steve Atwater and Eric Dalala, I'm Alexis Perry. That we're signing off here from London. But, Phil, we will send it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Alexis. Great stuff out there all week long following the team. Guys, we're back here in studio with Todd Davis and Nick Ferguson here on Broncos Post-Game Live. Let's talk about Russell Wilson's game a little bit. Of course, he missed his fourth ever career game last week. Comes back. How much of a boost do you think he gave for this team?
He was huge for the team. I think the team is at their best when he's on the field. Definitely started off slow. I feel like he was maybe, like they said, knocking some rust off, getting back to himself. But that second half, he looked like the Russell Wilson all of us know he could be. And, you know, the Broncos know they're so much better with him on the field. I think anytime he can play, even if he's limited, I think he's giving the Broncos the best shot to win.
I was a little concerned about Russell playing in this game because of the hamstring. I've had it before, those soft tissue injuries. If it's a partial tear, I mean, you can make it into a major tear. And then now we're talking about Russell being gone for an extended period of time. The one thing that really got me about Russell playing this game, the last international game in the series, I know how the league likes to build these games up, and you want your top players to play. So I was wondering if there was some added pressure for Russ to play in this game, but great performance by Russ. We need this Russ moving forward if the Broncos are probably trying to dig themselves out of this hole.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what changed with Russ here, because he was 18 of 30, 252 yards, a touchdown and an interception. But the way it started, guys, it was not pretty. I mean, the first throw of the game could have been intercepted. That second series, it was intercepted. It led to a Jags touchdown. It looked like, oh, gosh, here we go again. But then in that second half, they just came out and he looked like a different player.
I think they really kept it simple. I think you see a lot of drive starters in the second half, some basic concepts like spacing routes, some hitch routes, some things to get drives going, some easy passes for Russell to make to really get in his groove. And then once you do that, then you start taking shots downfield. I think that's how they attacked the Jaguars today. And I love KJ Hamler coming out. He always likes to be quiet. I think he's chilling until he's like, when you guys really need me, I'm here. I'll make a play for you.
But that's the basic thing when you think about this West Coast offense. It is blocking up front, handing the ball off to your running back to complement the quarterback, and short, quick passes. This is something that we didn't see when the Broncos had that first drive. I mean, we kept seeing so many deep routes, and when you run those deep routes, it puts pressure on the offensive lineman. But when they started throwing the short, quick passes, getting Russ in a rhythm, like you said, Todd, we saw this offense start to move down the field. But this is the type of offense we need to see for 4 quarters. And Phil, you asked the question, what really changed? It was the play caller. For whatever reason, Nathaniel Hackett said, I need to throw something different at the Jags defense, and he did that.
Yeah, well, what he did was work, and the running game got going. Latavius Murray, 46 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Melvin Gordon, 29 yards and a touchdown. The running game got going, but Todd mentioned it. KJ Hamler had that huge play in the final drive leading to the Broncos' go-ahead touchdown. Let's go out to the Broncos locker room. Cindy Jones is with KJ Hamler.
Okay. in 3, 2, 1. Thanks, Phil. We are here with wide receiver KJ Hamler. KJ, a win in London. How much does this mean for this team?
I think it means the world. We just had to, get this win under our belt just to get the spark back up. Now we just got to keep it going, keep working hard and, enjoy this little bye week, but we still got to be focused at the same time, no mistakes, and just take extra time to study our next opponent.
KJ, you had that 47-yard catch that set up that touchdown drive to, get you guys on take the lead there. How much did that mean to you personally and, to put the team in position to get the lead?
I'm proud of myself. I came a long way. I wasn't even supposed to play this season. So, I worked my butt off and, I don't always get the opportunities that, everybody wants to get. But, when the opportunities come, just got to take advantage of them. And, I think I've been doing very good with that. And just amazing team we got. Russ has been a big help. We have a few injuries, but, a lot of people are stepping up and they're doing their job. So, everything's coming into play.
I can see how great the mood is here in the locker room. What did Coach Hackett say to you guys after the game today?
I blocked everything. I don't even know what he said. He was excited yelling. He was excited yelling. He loved my hair. He wanted me to keep my hair like this the whole time.
KJ, you mentioned the bye. What do you guys do next week to really, recover and get
right? Get your mind right. We got extra time to focus on the next opponent. So you just, while you're on your downtime, watch another opponent. Keep at it and just, we got to keep working at the same time. Don't get too comfortable right now just because we got one win. We got, 9 more games to go, and we're trying to win them out. So if we want to be great, we got to really do the things just to be great.
Okay, Jay, appreciate your time. Congrats on the win.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Phil, back to you.
Thank you very much, Sydney. A much different Broncos locker room than we've seen the last 4 weeks. I guess winning will do that. Let's go right back out to Wembley Stadium as Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett is at the podium.
Hello, everyone. Lloyd Cushenberry didn't finish. He's got a hip.
Spend this week with the whole kind of find a way to really better. What was just your impression of the fourth quarter offense? Need to go down and get one. What did you see out of that drive?
We challenged the offense this whole week. I mean, we need to be able to make big time. Holding us back. We've been in a lot of different football games, had a lot of opportunities, and haven't come up with those. So we needed that to happen, and that we challenged, like I said, and stepped up. I a lot of their scheme, and then I thought our offensive coaches did a great job. We made some major adjustments at halftime, and were able to move the ball and get some good touchdowns.
You went 9 plays, 98 yards in your first drive. 20 seconds of the best football you played offensively all season. It seemed like that was the first domino that had to fall for this whole thing to happen. Can you just talk about that drive?
I agree. It was funny. We were back there. That's always one of those things. You got 2 ways to look at it. You're either on the -2 or you get to have a chance to get 98 yards of offense. And I thought those guys took it that way. They wanted to go 98 yards. They wanted to get those stats. They wanted to get those plays. And we changed the tempo up a little bit. Russell started getting comfortable. We really were attacking a whole bunch, both in the run game and in the pass game. Intermediate, we were mixing everything up. And I thought that it was great to see Russell feel comfortable, especially on that drive. I mean, just sitting in the pocket, the line did a great job protecting him during that time. I thought it was a really good drive, and that was kind of led to some other adjustments throughout the game.
First quarter was a tough start for Russ and the offense, specifically. What happened in the second quarter?
The first quarter, that was a hot start. I mean, we come out and we go 3 and out. We throw a pick on the second play. Again, that comes to that pressing. People wanting to make things happen instead of operating and not trying to do too much. And talked with Russell, told him to take a breath, breathe, just do what he does. And I think that as we kind of came into what we wanted to do in this game, after we saw the adjustments that Jacksonville had made, we were able to get some efficient plays for him. That's how he started feeling in that groove, because it's a long football game. And with a great defense like we have, you're always going to be in that game, and I think he knows that.
Anytime you get a turnover in the red zone, obviously it's a big play. But given where you guys are at in the season and where the game was at 7-0 in Jacksonville, how big of a play was that for Justin?
It was huge. Justin had 4 that had advanced them. He didn't skip a beat. He knew, bend, don't break. Goes down there, and then they run the sprint over to the right, and he picks it off, which was absolutely an incredible play and huge for us. Now, we didn't get to capitalize and score on it, We just got that ball out of the end zone, which is so huge to get any stop in the red zone. So I think for us in the red zone, I think we're 3 for 3. So when you have that going for you, you're going to have a chance to win a game.
There was a lot made this week about your future, the future of this team, what the outlook was for this season. We saw your emotion after the game. Can you just take us through what this win means for you personally and also just for this team?
I mean, I've control what I can control. All the coaches, all the players. We always want to focus in on what we can do so we continually get better. We've won a lot of football games. That's facts. We've hurt ourselves. So it's about us continually learning to not hurt ourselves to give us a chance to win the game. And I think this game's more important for us because of how we won it. Being up and then down and then up and being able to kind of weather that storm. And that's what I love so much about this game and about this team in here. Sticking together throughout whatever anybody says. They've been staying together through it all. And that's what I appreciate, and that gives you a sign that it's a chance to be a good team.
Around the second half, struggles too offensively they had earlier this season. Did it change anything over the week in terms of planning or how you went about sort of, looking at it in the second half of production?
A little bit. We kind of went into half having an idea of how we wanted to attack them the second half. They then made adjustments. It's that chess match. It goes back and forth. We want to get to one thing. They ended up changing that up. So then we did something else, and I thought it was great to see those things happening to us. They still didn't waver, and we were still able to get a drive to win the game.
What do you think about that final drive with the catch you made? What do you see from him there that
Well, we all know Cortland's a good football player, and so everybody's going to try to take him away. So that's going to open up opportunities for Jerry, AJ, and Dulcich. Because the more people that you have that people are nervous about, and the more it'll open Cortland back up a little bit more. But if they're going to try to do that, then other people need to step up and make a play. And we had talked about that in between that we wanted to get an opportunity for a go ball. And we got the look that we wanted, and he executed it to perfection. And that's what we're looking for. Just when you have those opportunities to be able to make it happen.
Besides you, Russell gets a lot of guff and has received a lot of guff the last couple. Do you think that affected him at all, and how do you think he responded?
I don't. I mean, he's an amazing human being from that standpoint. Everybody's says what they want, say whatever they want, and that's part of this game. It comes with the territory. As a head coach, as a quarterback, you're always going to get that, especially if you don't win, especially if the offense doesn't look good like it hasn't. I think for us, we just band together, we put our heads down and try to find a way to win and help this team any way that we can. And it was funny because even that beginning wasn't what we wanted it to be, but just watching how he is and the kind of person he is and how he thinks positively, he was able to battle through that. And I thought that was really impressive. That's a hard thing to do, and he did a great job of it.
Nate, your defense, obviously another outstanding performance. Can you just kind of expound on what they did that you like?
I mean, day in and day out, and they do such a great job. And I think with some of the injuries also, another guy goes in and steps up. Nick Benito comes in there and makes some plays. Jonathan Cooper gets in there. Kongbo got in there. So I think it's not just them, individually, but as a group, they're just bonding together so well. I mean, Justin Simmons having a really good game, and K'Waun having that amazing pick at the end. I mean, he's got one arm, and how you catch that, I still don't know. But I think that just watching their cohesiveness, a lot of these guys have played together for a minute now. So you see that gelling together, which is what I love, and they're attacking, they're pressuring, they're playing coverage. It's really great to see.
In a sport where you're judged a week at a time, how much better is the right now reflect that?
It's going to be a lot better, no doubt. I mean, anytime, and going into a bye, we always say, to be able to have a win going into a bye, you're very excited. And I've always believed that, win, you get to coach them harder. Because we have a lot of things we still have to correct and a lot of things that we still have to get to because we're not where we want to be. This was kind of a step in the right direction because we were able to make that big-time play when we needed to, both running the ball in the red zone. I mean, we've had the red zone issues and we were all in those situations at the end of the game. So to see those guys step up, that's something to build on, but we still have so much improvement that we need to do.
Coach, one of the things to improve on probably penalties, 10 in the first half. What changed to only have 2 in the second half, and what are some of the other?
We talked about that, a little bit at half, talked with the coaches, told the guys to settle down. I think the frustrating ones are some of those, whether it be a personal foul or a taunting foul. I mean, we got to get that out of the game. We can't do that. I mean, it's just that simple. And you talk about it, you show it. It's funny, one of the penalties, we had actually had a presentation on it on Friday to explain it and how you can do it. But in the end, happen quickly. And they don't mean to cause a penalty, but they do, and we have to continually point it out. They have to learn from it, and we can't do it because, again, those are those self-inflicted wounds, and we don't want to keep battling back from those.
Just talk about how dynamic he is all of a sudden. Offense seems pretty good.
I'll tell you, his blocking ability has really helped us because he strains. He's not a killer over there. He's not going to, something you want to major in. But I think his ability to be able to block in the run game and then his ability to go down the field, both vertically and in that intermediate zone is really impressive. I mean, he can catch the ball. Russ is starting to get a nice flow with him, and he's got great hair too, which is always impressive. So I think watching him come in, especially after not playing football for so long, and having to do that again, I give him and Jake Moreland, his coach, so much credit on getting him ready to be able to contribute right away.
Last one, Jeff.
Just expand on the conversation with Russell. Have you had something like that with him this season?
We hadn't had something like that quick, both 1 3 and out, and then the second play an interception. Try to explain, hey, take what they give you. Don't force it. And he looked, and it was like he had a big smile on his face. And I think you learn a lot about a quarterback when they throw a pick, especially early. I've had some quarterbacks that go in the tank. I've had some quarterbacks that are like, got that one out of the way. And that's what you want to see. And he got it out of the way early. I'm glad. We didn't need that later in the game. And he was able to rebound and come back and make some plays.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
So that's Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett, his entire press session there. Obviously, probably, guys, as we get back here on the set, nobody happier than Nathaniel Hackett, the pressure that he had been feeling this week leading up to this game. He's got to feel happy with a victory.
Yeah, I know he's elated to have this win. It was a primetime win for him. I know he's had a lot of primetime games, so the spotlight has been on him. Everybody's been watching and seeing how the team's been doing, and it hasn't been the greatest start to his, NFL head coaching career. So I know he's happy to get a win in. And one thing he said, he's happy to coach them harder after a win. I know that he's been coaching a lot, but now it is time for you to kind of get on things that, really need to be improved and really coach guys hard. Guys are happy, but let's get things corrected because we got a big season ahead of us and a lot of tough games, and they have to find a way to win them.
Yeah, Coach Hackett is really happy. And I think there's a group of people who are probably more happier than Coach Hackett right now, and that's Broncos country. And when you think about, what was taking place early on in London, where you had George Paton ask the question, well, what's your thoughts on Russell Hackett? And he just kind of doubled down and say, well, hey, listen, these are my guys. I'm going to back them. I'm going to support them. But, yeah, he's happy, but he knows how this works. You're heading into the bye. The pressure only adds from this point. It's not like, hey, the Broncos won. The season is over. It's like, no. You still have 8 more games ahead of you. You have to come out of the bye and face the Titans. Now he just has to continue the same momentum going into the remaining of the season.
Much easier to work on some of these things when you win the game versus after a tough loss. So let's talk about the Broncos defense a little bit here. Held Jacksonville in check after falling behind 10-0 early. Couple of key interceptions, really. The Justin Simmons, that was probably the play of the game. If the Jags go up 14-0 there, who knows what would have happened. And then obviously the K'Waun Williams at the end, making an interception with a cast on.
Yeah, that's big time. I really love the play by Justin. This game is where guys are going to make mistakes. And if you look earlier on in that drive, he got a taunting penalty and cost the team 15 yards. And I know I didn't like the penalty, but it happened. But this game is all about, can you make more plays than mistakes? He had the taunting penalty, then he marched right down in the red zone. He makes a key interception to keep the team alive. Like you said, I think if the Jags go up 14-0, I don't know if, the Broncos can dig out of that hole and find a way to win. And then secondly, K'Waun, I think he's playing great football. How he made the interception with one hand, I know I couldn't do it. I didn't have the best hands. I didn't have the best hands with 2 of them. So, hats off to him. Great game-sealing interception.
Yeah, the defense, man. Are we surprised about the way that they perform? The only thing that we are surprised about is just the fact that, the turnovers, how many turnovers they were able to force. And I know the conversation is going to be about Trevor Lawrence is a quarterback in his second year. He's still trying to learn the game. But at the end of the day, it goes to the team that makes the plays when they need to make the play. The Justin play, man, that was huge because, like you said, if the Jags go up at that point now, it is so crushing to the Broncos offense and the defense. But They came out, they made plays, they made some adjustments. Here's my biggest problem: stopping the run. It's a huge problem. We know they can get after passer, but when you look at it, guys hanging on blocks too long, guys not rallying and tackling as a group, that's going to be a problem moving forward because you're going to face more tough running backs down the road.
Yeah, after the bye week, it's King Henry.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's going to be a big problem. But, yes, you guys are absolutely right. Breece Hall had that 62-yard touchdown a week ago with the Jets. And then today, Travis Etienne, 156 yards rushing the touchdown. The Broncos made the plays when they really needed to. But that run defense, they need to figure out something there, Todd.
They do. They need to get better production out of everybody up front so they can stop the run. It's interesting to see that they're attacking the edge. We have great pass rushers, but they're choosing to attack them in the run game, with stretches and sweeps and things to really get outside the pocket. So that's really going to make the corners have to come up and tackle. It's going to make Justin Simmons and our safeties have to come up and make big plays. They're really pressing the edge. So, hopefully Ejiro Evero is able to do something to really shore up our edge defense so they're not pressing us on the edge anymore.
See, what I'm saying, and Todd, I'm glad you pointed that out, every time a team runs a sweep or an outside zone, sometimes if they have success, you get that outside linebacker peeking his head inside. A couple of times, some of our edge rushers got caught with their head peeking inside, and the run was able to get outside. And you don't want to put your safeties or your corners in that situation where they now have to run the alley, and that's a difficult tackle, especially King Henry coming up next. In 2 weeks. You don't want to see that. Trust me. That's a big man.
Yeah. Pat Surtain made a couple of big tackles today, but that's not something you want Pat Surtain doing.
No.
And tell me if I'm right, guys. When they attack the edge, that's what creates some of those big plays. Rare that you see something right up the middle go big, but when they get outside and then they hit that corner, that's what's creating some of these huge plays.
Yeah, because there's no one out there. If they're able to beat that corner one-on-one, then it's a lot of grass, a lot of space on the outside. Run up in the middle, you got D-line, you got linebackers, you got safeties right there. At that edge, it's really all up to one-on-one tackling on the outside. And, like I said, if they're able to defeat that, it's a lot of grass.
Yeah, that's how those offensive coordinators figure out who wants to tackle, who came to play, and who doesn't. And once again, we saw Kareem Jackson miss a tackle on that long ETN run. For him, all he had to do is stay on his feet, keep his eyes on his inside leg, and track that. He makes that tackle.
Yeah. A great defensive performance, but definitely some things to work on here for the Broncos. One guy on the offensive side who had a great game, Jerry Jeudy. Jeudy finished with 6 catches, 63 yards, and a touchdown. He's at the podium right now.
So with that, I feel like, and we end with a win for real. This is the second half, just going over the adjustments. The coach and having a good game plan to understand what the defense was doing and just attacking them. So I feel like we did a good job of that part. Can you repeat that?
The 98-yard drive, how big was that to sort of settle you guys down?
Oh, that was big. We was down, so that 98 drive, we needed that to be able to get the game. So the way Russ drove down the field and how the offense executed each play, that was a big part of the game.
Did you feel the team relax a little bit after you did that touchdown?
Nah, we were relaxed. We were down. We was relaxed, but we were still trying to, keep our foot on the pedal and just keep on executing our plays and playing fast and keep doing what we're doing. For real.
Anything else feel going into a bye week with a win like this?
It feels great, especially just coming off a 4-game losing streak and winning this game in London. So it's a big win. Now we're just gonna have to use this bye week to focus on what we gotta do better and just execute from there.
What did you make of the Broncos fans turning up here in London?
Here.
What did you make of the Broncos fans turning up here in London?
Oh, I didn't know we had that much Broncos fans in London, man. We appreciate them coming out and supporting us, and great to have this W.
What made it the London experience?
Oh, I love London, man. I just coming out here, just learning the different culture around the world and stuff, and coming here to London. I definitely got to double back and come back here again, for sure.
All right, thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Jerry Jeudy wants to go back to London, got the victory, and then obviously enjoyed the week out there with his teammates. Let's go back inside the Broncos locker room. Sidney Jones is with Draymond Jones.
Thanks, Phil. We are here with Draymond Jones. Draymond, a win here in London. How much does this mean for you and for this team? I can see the mood in here is so great.
Huge turnaround, man. We coming after a 4-game loss and to get a big win like that against a good team, regardless of the record, it's super huge. We needed that for just a confidence booster and just a better movement change.
You had 3 tackles for loss, a sack. I saw your little tea celebration here in England. What did it mean to you to have a game like that today, and what do you think about your performance?
I thought I had a hell of a game, man. My dog, JT, man, from Old State, he inspired me, so I'm glad I got the job done.
What does this mean for this team with a win heading into the bye?
What'd you say? Repeat that. I can't hear you.
What does it mean for this team getting a win as you guys head into the bye week?
Huge momentum, the bye week, it feels better. The break feels just like a lot longer, when you're not thinking about the loss the whole week. Get a chance to relax and decompress and just come back and play some more ball, man. I can't wait to get back. I'm already missing it.
What's going to be the focus over this next week then?
R&R, rationalization. Everybody need to get their body back. We got a lot of guys hurt. We're probably one of the most hurt teams in the NFL, so it gives us opportunity for guys to heal and just rest and just get their minds right, even away from football sometimes.
Well, Draymond, congrats on the win. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Phil, back to you.
Thank you very much, Sydney. Draymond wants some rest, but he wants to get right back to it. So which one is it? Let's head out to the podium. I'm sorry, I think that we're waiting on Russell Wilson here. He's at the podium right now, but we'll get back to him as soon as we can. A little bit of technical difficulties. Back here on the set, though, Draymond Jones, you kind of feel like that after a win, you want to keep playing, but you need a little bit of rest here.
Yeah, they do. They're definitely hurting in some areas. I would like to see Randy Gregory come back pretty shortly. I know that a lot of guys need this rest and need some time. Russell Wilson's not fully healthy, although he did play today. He needs some help. Lloyd Cushenberry went down today with a hip. He's going to need some time to rest and relax and get his body back. So this is perfect time for the Broncos. If this is a game-changing win or a season-changing win for them, the rest coming right after is going to be perfect for them to regroup, reset, and get ready to go.
I love what Draymond Jones said. Yeah, you're happy about the win, but you're ready to get back out there. And that tells you about the momentum going into the bye. You want to make sure you get that victory because if the Broncos lost this game, imagine what the mood would be in that locker room. Guys just want to get away from football and don't want to watch football at all. But the fact that Draymond is like, hey, listen, we won this game. I can't wait to get back. And that is what Coach Hackett is going to have to do once these guys come back. See if he can catch lightning in the bottle and try to find his momentum again.
Do you think that there's something to it? We heard Jerry Jeudy talk about London. Is there something to being with your teammates for the entire week and then you feel like things starting to change a little bit here with the team?
Yeah, because the team, by all accounts, they stayed so far from the city. And you're coming off a loss. You have an 8-hour flight. You have to galvanize. What else do you have to do? Sit in the back of the plane, talk about the things that you need to do to get this team better, and also knowing as though you're in a different environment, right? You're kind of closed off from everyone else. But this is how teams who are struggling find their way. The question was, well, before we were talking about, well, is this going to be the game that really galvanizes this team and we're going to be able to look back and say, well, this is where things change for the Broncos? There's a strong possibility, guys, that this could be the moment that we look back and say, well, that is when the tide was changed in the direction of the Broncos.
Yeah, I think they really needed this. And who knows? Russell Wilson was doing high knees training at high altitude. Who knows if he's healthy enough to play if they don't get that training at high altitude? So I think it was great for them to get away and get some time to really play and be together. When you bond as a team, that's really when you have championship quality teams. I think that's really when guys are close-knit. We know what each other is thinking. We know how each other reacts to certain things. That's where you really become great and put together a good team.
Wow. What do you guys do on the plane, huh? You guys, you do some high knees ever or no?
No, I've never tackled high knees on a plane before. Nick, what about you?
Well, no. The whole thing is, and when everyone was talking about Russell and the high knees, I thought it was blowing out of proportion because, once again, we're talking about blood circulation. 8 hours on the plane, you have a hamstring, you're sitting down. They always tell you, hey, you need to get up and walk around. I played in NFL Europe, and it was like a 13-hour flight from Miami to the UK. So they would always tell you, walk around, and usually what I would do, I would wear compression socks to make sure I didn't get a blood clot. So I know it sounds funny, but Russ did the right thing, and who knows, I know how coaches are. They win. KJ Hamler said Coach Hackett told him to wear his hair like that again. Who knows? He may tell the team, we need to take another flight to the UK in order to help us win against the Titans.
And everybody's doing high knees.
Yeah.
Coaches
doing high knees, yeah.
Talking about Jerry Jeudy, though, he was the #1 wide receiver today for Russell Wilson. Got all the big targets there, especially when they really needed it in that first half. One guy who hasn't been as much involved in the offense, Courtland Sutton. Todd, what have you seen from the big wideout?
You know, I think that he's, the #1 wide receiver in opposing defensive coordinators' eyes. So they're going to do things to try to take him away. He didn't really have many targets, didn't have many catches. He had that one drop ball towards the end of the game. But if opposing defensive coordinators are going to do what they need to take Courtland Sutton away, Jerry Jeudy has to be our guy. He has to show up, and I think he's been showing up. He has to have big games. He has to make big plays, and I think he's doing that. A lot of times he's wide open. I feel like we have to get the ball in his hands even more than we're doing now because he is such a threat. He's so quick. He's so fast. He's shifty. He's hard to defend.
I mean, teams watch tape. So they've seen for the past couple of weeks, hey, that's Russ' go-to guy. We saw what happened in the Colts game. Russ was trying to force the ball into him. It ended up being intercepted. So here's what they need to do. Take a page out of Sean McVay's book, right? So they run a similar type of offense, not the same, but a similar type of offense. What does Sean McVay do with Cooper Kupp, right? Guy won a Triple Crown in the NFL last season. They moved him around. Get him on the ball, get him off the ball, get him on the move. Don't just have Courtland Sutton stationary because you make it easier for the defense to defend you. If they're able to do that, some pre-snap motion, we'll see more production out of Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, because Sutton earlier this year, he had, against the 49ers, 8 catches for 97 yards. Against the Texans, 7 catches for 123 yards. I mean, he's obviously capable of this. He's had a Pro Bowl season in the past. But the last couple of weeks, 2 catches, 3 catches, and 1 catch today against the Jags. But luckily, Jerry Jeudy stepped up, and also Greg Dulcich, Todd, that tight end, the rookie. Clearly, he had been staying up on his playbook because he's really hit the ground running.
Yeah, he's definitely not playing like a rookie. He's always able to find some space. Those seam routes, I think those are meant for him to run. The great thing about him is he's, can get downfield with his speed, but he's also does a lot in the run game. I feel like he's great at, blocking on the edge and really tries hard and works hard. I think that's why the coaches have him in there because he's dual threat when it comes to, run blocking and being able to create space and mismatches with opposing defenders.
You know what? It is crazy what the difference is when it comes from week to week. Last week, we didn't see a lot of production from the tight end position, and I was hearing rumors about Jake Moreland not being a great tight end coach, but now Greg Dulcich goes out and play the way that he's playing. Watch, we're going to see that language and that narrative start to change, but this is what Greg Dulcich was at UCLA. This is why the Broncos decided to draft a young tight end because he had these capabilities, and this is what we thought that Albert Okwuegbunam was going to be, and I'll bring it back to this. I mean, all last week, it was a bunch of trade talk. Who's going to go, who's coming in, what the Broncos are doing. Based on what we're constantly seeing from Greg Dulcich, I think it kind of puts Albert Okwuegbunam pretty much on the chopping block.
Yeah, he's been inactive the last couple of weeks. I do want to get to some of the trade talks here in just a second. But first, Latavius Murray had a touchdown today. He was talking inside the Broncos locker room.
And that might be their biggest touchdown of this Broncos team, biggest touchdown of the season.
Look, we had a good drive. Everybody made plays and just finished it off, man. Like we made plays on that drive, exactly what we been wanting to do all year when it counted, when we needed it the most.
What was different? You get the ball back with 3:54, down by 3. You haven't been here the whole season, but finishing has been an issue for this team. What was different about that drive?
Again, I just think we made plays. Again, that big chunk play down the field, that creates a spark. All it takes is one play to build on, create momentum. And so, for us to, kind of flip the field like that and then finish off the drive, run the ball, we just kind of mixed it up and we found a way.
Does this turn the temperature down a little bit on Hackett, on Russell? Does it allow you guys to breathe a little bit?
Yeah, look, we don't pay attention to any of the outside stuff. We know what our job is. We know, what we need to do. So, it feels good to win. I think that's what's most important. It feels great to win. We want to build on this. We want to keep this going. It's hard to win, so we need to enjoy it, but,
How
How big is it to go into a bye week with a win? I know you've been here a couple weeks. You can feel the temperature change.
Yeah.
To go into the bye week with a win.
I think it's huge, especially with how things have gone the last few weeks. Being close, but, finding a way this time around is huge. Again, we said it before, all it takes is one game, and, we want to build on this and go into this bye week feeling good about ourselves and then, come back ready to work.
Did you guys feel like this week of practice it was different? I know you haven't been here long, but guys were telling me maybe it was just being away and galvanizing, like a big long field trip.
Yeah, I definitely think we were able to, bond, connect, spend a lot of time with each other, and so I think more than anything we wanted to leave here with a win. So we didn't never doubt it, believed in each other on that last drive to go out there and win the game.
Thanks, Latavius.
That's Broncos running back Latavius Murray, had 14 rushes for 46 yards today. Broncos heading into the bye week with a big victory over the Jags, 21-17 the final. Let's talk about where this team is a little bit, though. They're 3-5. There's some trade talks surrounding some guys, particularly Bradley Chubb, who we can talk about here just a little bit. He's having a great season, but it's the last year of his contract. Where do you think the Broncos stand with Bradley Chubb right now?
Personally, if the Broncos feel like, they still have a shot at having a good season, you don't do that by trading away your best players. I think if they do trade him, or Jeudy was also talked about to be on the trade block, guys in the locker room, we know what that means. We know that this is not our year. The organization is now looking towards next year or the year after that. So they know that, and I think that would kind of change the morale within the team and the organization if they were to trade away their best players. So hopefully he's still here after the trade deadline, but if they make that move, it's for the future.
Well, here's the thing that makes it interesting about the trade deadline. If the Broncos were to make that move and acquire draft capital, some of it that they gave up for Russ in Seattle, well, if you trade Bradley, well, what does that leave you? Like Todd said, it leaves a message to the team that, hey, listen, we feel as though the season is done, even though we're telling you continue to play, continue to practice, continue to go through all your process during the week. But at the same time, we already told you that, hey, we've kind of given up. But if you get rid of Bradley Chubb, you don't have Randy Gregory. You don't have him. Baron Browning has the hip issue. That leaves you now with Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper. Now, could they say, okay, we're going to put Mike Purcell and DJ Jones inside and move Draymond outside? That's an option, but is that the best thing for the team? So I don't envy George Paton right now. Tough decision to make, but once again, you win a game, it changes everything that you thought of before you actually play this game.
Really hard to be in the front office just because you're always thinking about the current team wanting to win right now, but then also you got to think about the overall good of the team long term. We heard from George Paton earlier this week. He said that Bradley Chubb is a core player, wants to keep core guys around, but then you also hear Adam Schefter reporting that maybe another team out there is going to offer a first-round pick. So you got to weigh the balance. The Broncos, of course, don't have a first-round pick for next year, so tough, especially with Bradley Chubb's contract coming to an end at the end of this year. I mean, I get the perspective, though, from the guys in the locker room, like, hey, you don't want to lose a guy like Chubb.
Yeah, and I think we need to keep core guys. I think too often, the Denver Broncos have traded away or went out and traded for someone or got somebody in free agency like a Russell Wilson or a Randy Gregory. I think we need to keep some guys that we drafted here that have been core guys for a long time to really show our team that we're dedicated to our players, that we keep long-term players, that we have a long-term plan for our team to be successful. So I would like to see them keep Chubb. I really do.
You know who's the key to this whole thing, and I don't think anyone's talked about it, is Russell Wilson. They just won a game in London. He was struggling, the team was struggling, but he knows in his career and on teams that he's won, they ran the ball well and they got after the quarterback. And everyone keeps talking about this massive deal that he signed. Well, who's to say that Russ doesn't realize that, hey, listen, if this defense continues to play this way, I mean, now I'm going to have a long, successful career. He could go into the organization and say, look, Why don't you restructure my deal so I can put money aside so we're able to do what Todd is suggesting? Keep our core players and keep Bradley Chubb in-house.
Yeah, and I mean, a big reason why a guy like Russell Wilson wants to get traded to Denver is that he's got a really strong defense here, a chance to win. So a lot to battle here with the trade deadline coming up this Tuesday. Hard to imagine that this could have been Bradley Chubb's last game in orange and blue. He was speaking inside the Broncos locker room.
If Justin doesn't get that interception and you guys go down 14-0, it feels like that play really kept you guys in position to win this thing.
Yeah, it's a whole different game, man. It's a whole different game. That's why they pay Jay the big bucks. You know what I mean? That's why he is who he is, because he just finds a way to make a play at all times. So without, you know what I'm saying, these key pieces we got, man, I'm just excited how we just going to keep building off each other and continue to keep it going.
I want to take you to the fourth quarter. You guys allow a late touchdown, which is something we haven't seen from the Denver D. Then the offense goes down, gets a touchdown to put you ahead, and then you guys steal it with another huge turnover, Bradley.
That's what I'm saying, complete football. We you know what I'm saying, we let up, you know what I mean? We had a play where it wasn't our best, and the offense just picked the slack right back up like nothing happened. And once we saw them go out, score, we knew once we put the ball back in our hands, we were going to get it back, or it was going to be a punt or something was going to happen. You know what I mean? It was going to be a big play for us, and that's how it ended up turning out. So we're happy, real happy.
With all the trade speculation, was there any part of you as you walked off the field, or as you sitting here in the locker room thinking, gosh, I wonder if that was my last game as a Bronco?
I mean, yeah, it comes to your head, but at the end of the day, man, I'm going to enjoy this win. We put the work in all week. We've been in London, battling time differences, battling all this type of stuff, man, and to see it come to light, see us come out with the win, no matter what happens, I'm going to enjoy the night for sure.
Last one for you. How cool was it? How important was it to go into the bye week on a win like
huge.
this?
It's huge. It's huge because we get back to a manageable 3-5. You know what I mean? It's not where we want to be, but 3-5 is not the worst. You know what I'm saying, ever. So we still got a chance. We still got the whole West is in front of us. We got two more opportunities against the Chiefs and one against all the other teams. So it's gonna be fun, man. I'm excited.
Hope to see you in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. Sound good.
Thanks, Bradley.
That's Bradley Chubb talking inside the Broncos' victorious locker room. Bradley Chubb not thinking too much about the future here for him personally, more so for the team as they are now 3-5 heading into the bye week. As we wrap things up here on Broncos Postgame Live, Todd, where do you feel like this team is now heading into the bye week? 3-5, and really, if they play like they did today, you know, certainly in the second half, maybe anything's possible for this team.
For sure, if they're able to put together, full 4 quarters of what they did in the second half, I think they can really still have a good season. I hope they do not trade Bradley Chubb or any other key players. I hope that they keep them here and hope that this year can still be a good year for them. I think this was a great win going into the bye. Like Nick, you talked about the momentum going into the bye, going in happy, excited for the rest of the season. Ready to take on new challenges, and they have extra time to get prepared for the Titans. And I know they're going to come in here and try to run the ball after what they saw today. That's going to be their number one goal, is to get Derrick Henry off the ground. But the Broncos always play Derrick Henry tough. Ask Josie Jewell how that goes. He put a hit on him 2 years ago and definitely sat him down. So I think they'll have a great game against the Titans. And they'll, maybe that gets the ball rolling, going 4-5, and it's just one game at a time. You just got to win one at a time, and then at the end of the season, you look back and see how you did.
Excellent opportunity to really see where this team is, right? We know how they've handled losses, but how is it that this team handles a win that they really needed to have? Are they going to rest on their laurels, or are they going to rest and come back rejuvenated for the back half of the season? We'll get a chance to really see this, but what's going to happen before that is the trade deadline. We're going to see exactly the direction of this team, this organization. Are they thinking about right now, or are they thinking about down the road, which is 2023? And that's going to tell us exactly the game plan for George Paton moving forward.
It certainly is going to be interesting here. A lot of things, obviously, to correct. I mean, they're the most penalized team in the NFL. 12 penalties for 81 yards today. Got to get that cleaned up. The run defense, we talked about that. And then certainly on the offensive side of the ball, see if they can just get some sustained success going. You think that is it easy to look one game at a time, Todd? Or do you think, hey, they're 3-5, maybe a trade happens and then it's going downhill? I mean, can you really just lock in 1 week at a time?
Yeah, I think you have to. I think that's the only way you're successful in the NFL. If you look at the entirety of the season, you may be a little bit overwhelmed. Like, how are we going to turn this into a winning season? How are we going to beat the Chiefs twice and the Raiders and the Chargers? And then, it feels like a lot. So you also have to you have to get narrowed in. You have to put on those blinders and really focus on winning one game at a time.
Because it is kind of strange, Nick. It feels like with this team, they have 2 overtime losses. I mean, if those just went the other way, then all of a sudden you're talking about this team at 5-3, and they're right there. So it's like at one time you could look at this team and they're like 3-5, a lot of struggling. But then at the same time, you could be like, gosh, if they just play like they did in the second half, if they win those overtime, I mean, it's just so night and day with this team.
Yeah, my former head coach, Bill Parcells, once said, you are what your record indicates. And right now, this is a 3-5 team with the potential, based on what we saw today, to be more productive. But it comes down to consistency. Last week, Brett Rippon said that, hey, this team needs to have more people buy in. That's me paraphrasing what he's saying. But once again, you have to ask yourself, did this game galvanize this team to where now every single player across the board is now bought into what they were not buying in before? We get a chance to see it in 2 weeks when they face the Titans and see what type of team this really is.
Well, we'll see what this win was able to do for the Broncos. 2 second-half touchdowns today for Russell Wilson in the offense. The defense came up with big turnovers, and in the end, it was a 21-17 victory. The Broncos 3-5 heading into the bye week. We had a little bit of technical difficulties with the Russell Wilson press conference. We will get that up, posted live, or posted in its entirety to DenverBroncos.com, so check for that there. But this is going to do it for us. For Nick Ferguson and Todd Davis, I am Phil Milani. This has been Broncos Postgame Live.